Okay, this episode of the Flush Podcast is brought to you by Illuma Trailers, Waltons, Onyx Hunt, and by Nutrisource Pet Foods. Today I'm joined by three of our photojournalists and editors. These men follow us through fields, swamps, forests, mountains, through the air on sketchy plains, on water, big boats, little boats, on horseback, in wind, rain, snow, sleet, and heat, just so they can be in position to record a shot as it happens. They are the real stars of every TV show we produce. Welcome to another episode of the Flush Podcast. I'm Travis Frank. I'm your host. Brandon Morton, as always, is our producer. Brandon, I just have to say that the addition of the button bar on the show is a huge hit with my kids. Shout out to my kids, Weston, Cash, and Lydia. They loved the sound effects, so please add more whenever you want. Yes, go ahead. You're not mic'd up. Oh, sure. All right. Well, anyway, I'm glad to say that my kids are now listening to this podcast, which is added pressure on me. I feel like now I have an audience that I really need to step up my game for. Anyway, so today I'm joined by three of my coworkers. Besides Brandon, for once, I've got some other coworkers in here, which is exciting. We are going behind the scenes, behind the camera, behind the computer monitors, and we want to talk about how our shows come together. Probably just mostly an entertainment show for listeners. The last couple of weeks, we've been digging into some dog training topics, we had a vet on the show. Those are episodes that we've gotten a lot of feedback. I know a lot of listeners were very interested and want more of that. So we will definitely keep that coming. Today, it's going to be lighthearted. There's going to be some stories from a couple decades of time spent in the field with the real stars of the show. I think it goes in order. The cameramen are the stars of the show, then the dogs, then the hosts, if I had to really rank them in order of how it goes. So we have Aaron Ochtenberg, Cowboy Troy, and Pete Herman Franzen. Cowboy Troy, who gave you that name?
I was going to say howdy. I think it was you in Montana.
Sure.
George Lyle in Montana. One of you guys. And then it just kind of stuck. And now I'm known as Cowboy Troy anytime I'm on the Flush.
Gotcha. Aaron, let's start with you. How long have you been working at Ronshare Productions?
I have been with the company for 19 years.
19 years. I want you to think
closing
about
in on 20.
I want you to think about all the places that you filmed with just the Flush. We'll come back to you in a second. Pete?
Yeah.
How long have you been on this show and with this production company?
4+ years, but I've been on the Flush for 5 seasons, just the way the calendar worked out.
Gotcha. Troy, how many seasons have you been with us now?
2 seasons. This is my second season.
You and I have been all over the country the last 2 years. You're kind of a road warrior in the Flush world. Because we have, Aaron, how many TV shows are we producing right now?
Minnesota Bound, Due North, Destination Polaris, Made for the Outdoors, and of course The Flush are all brand new content shows. And then we have Rooster Tales, Backroads. Am I missing anything?
Due North.
Did I mention Due North?
Yeah, we mentioned that.
Oh, sorry.
So there's a lot of production that's going on, but the three of you right now are all editing a Flush episode. Troy and I, we were laughing yesterday and I actually wanted to pull the soundbite in here that you played for me, and we both we shook our heads and we laughed. But Dylan, up on the mountain, 12,000 feet high, before we started
scaling it.
Yes.
Everything. We're shooting, kind of just getting those moments where like, what's the game plan? Mm-hmm. And you ask him what the probability was of getting a ptarmigan that we were hunting in Colorado. And he's like, 100%. And everybody was just like, why on earth would you say that? Yes. This is already going to be kind of a rare sort of shoot and looking for this bird that nobody hunts for, save for 150 people in North America.
Well, yeah, I mean, in that state, Jim Millencypher and Dylan Waller, they both figured there's probably a couple hundred people in Colorado that will go after ptarmigan. Obviously, there's ptarmigan in different states. The stronghold for white-tailed ptarmigan are in Colorado, so that's kind of
Rockies.
Like so that's a popular place to pursue them. But Alaska obviously has them. I don't know the numbers on it, but it's nowhere near what quail and pheasant and grouse are down in lower elevations, just because of the extreme nature of the hunt and how hard it is just to get there. But what a curse, man. What a curse. We've discussed that show before. We don't need to go into exact details. People are going to be able to watch that episode. But last season, Troy, how many hunts did you film and where were you? Do you remember all of them?
Last season is in the season upcoming now?
Yep, the one that we're working now. So last hunting season for people listening, it starts during the regular hunting season that everyone else is hunting, September through, February for the most part. But now we're heavy in the editing side. So the same people that are in the field filming are also our editors in the edit bays right now, which is what you guys are all working on as we speak.
So I did 3 all with you.
Yeah.
And the Montana grouse opener, where it was, I guess I'd never been on a hunt quite like that because it was actually hot and we couldn't shoot during the middle of the day. Usually it's just kind of like go all day long, but Montana, and then we went to Colorado and got snowed on a bunch in the Rockies. And then we had the tri-state hunts where we went to western Minnesota, Iowa, and South Dakota. Yeah.
Yep. We knew going into the Colorado hunt that it was going to be challenging, but you were like jacked for the challenge.
I was really excited, but I got humbled real quick, and you can't breathe. It's like I remember we'd walk for, a couple hundred feet and climb and everything, and then stop and breathe and suck some air, and then I'd like make you guys wait so I could get ahead of you and get some shots, and then have you guys go by me. And then by the time I caught back up, it was time to rest again and just looking for birds. But going through that show, or the footage from that show that I'm currently editing right now is incredible. I mean, the peaks and just some of the visuals on that particular episode are not like anything I've shot for the Flush before or edited for the Flush before.
Yeah. What was I'm guessing it's the elevation and the lack of oxygen was the biggest challenge there. Was there anything else, just like the topography or the snow? I mean, I remember it was so wet that.
I think that's the hard part with the camera, right? Is it starts snowing and you want to protect the gear, because if the gear fails, well, then you don't have anything at all you can do. Yeah. Yes, it was tough with the hiking. I think I had a stripped down camera, just the basics, and the elevation definitely took into account, but when it started snowing and, you're trying to keep that lens clean, and you're also you'll wrap a garbage bag or a camera cover around it, and it just becomes incredibly difficult to try to, find your buttons and find all your adjustments. And, it's another level of just like, okay, the Flush is already a hard show to shoot. You don't know what's going to happen or when. You just got to have to go with it. And at the same time, in the back of your head, remember to get all your cutaways and get all your scenic shots and get all the shots of the dogs and, get shots of feet and close-ups and guns and all of that. But then when you can't just kind of seamlessly go into it and get into autopilot and just adjust the camera and, make those changes on the fly like you normally can, it's just, the snow was definitely probably the worst part.
Yeah. I think what we should do before we get into a lot more stories about our adventures, I think we should kind of go back just a little bit and get a little bit more information about each one of you. Because a lot of times when I've got guests on the show, we talk about, like, how did it start for you? How do you remember your first time hunting and things like that? And people can really remember those types of things. So I think we can ask the same question for you. Aaron, do you remember the first time that you ever picked up a camera to film something, and why did you do it?
the first time I ever picked up a camera to film anything.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, like, how many times do we ask? Do you remember your first flush of a wild pheasant, or like what got you into this line of work? And I'll ask Pete and Troy the same question.
That's kind of a long story. Believe it or not, when I started college, I was going to be a math teacher.
Really?
Yeah. And that didn't work out so well.
Did you not know math very well?
No, I was really good at math until I ran into calculus as a freshman, and then I shifted gears from there. So, but I was doing pretty good in English, so I was like, well, journalism, I'll try journalism. And then through journalism, I got into TV journalism and then camera. And the first thing I ever shot, I was like super sophomore, I guess you'd call it.
Third or fourth year.
Something like that. I had to shoot, my first video assignment ever was to shoot a music video. So I made a music video for,
what song?
It was Van Halen, The Ice Cream Man, if you know that song. Great song, fun to make a music video for. So that was the first thing.
Did you dress up?
No, I was not in it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
I had a friend who was the ice cream man.
Nice.
But so that was the very first thing I ever other than home video stuff, the first thing I ever shot and edited. And here I am, I don't know, 25 years later.
Well, you went to news out of school, right?
Yep. So I completed my degree. I had a professor who kind of guided me toward television news. So I worked in that for 4 or 5 years, which is a great training ground because you're shooting and editing every single day. So to do that for 4 or 5 years, you can just imagine the repetition of and all the different scenarios. So it's great practice for this kind of work because this is very unpredictable. News is very unpredictable. So to shoot in all kinds of weather, all kinds of lighting conditions, when you're feeling good, when you're feeling not good, when it just all that stuff. So
yeah. Do you have any memorable news moments that really stand out in your career before you got here?
Geez, I don't know. It's so long ago. I mean, getting out was pretty memorable.
Getting out of news?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it depressing?
News? I mean, it could be depressing at times. It was, the comparing news to this, right? When we're filming for The Flush or we're filming for Minnesota Bound, we're seeing people like on their best day, like what they love to do the most in the world. When we're filming for news, you're seeing everybody a lot of times on their worst day. Yeah. So when we show up in The Flush, Minnesota Bound, people are like excited. Yes, glad you're here. We're going to go have some fun. When you show up at news, people are like, oh, not you guys.
I'm going to talk to you.
Don't put a camera in my face.
Yeah. I mean, in news, I was filming a guy getting arrested, and he looked right at me and said, I'm going to effing kill you.
Jeez.
You're like,
just keep rolling.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just keep rolling.
Well,
Yeah.
So Pete was telling me some stories yesterday that it's funny because, we've worked together for how many years, and they still hear you tell stories that I'm like, oh my gosh. So you also came from news, but I'll ask you the same question I asked Aaron. Do you remember the first time you filmed something that meant more than, like it was a purpose behind it, and why did you film it?
I mean, I'm having a hard time recalling something like that. I tell everybody I was very lucky. I had a high school that had a TV studio. So I did football games. We did basketball games.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was. And so, it was the big cameras. We set them up in the stands, and, it wasn't just, some little handheld camera. So I got lucky in the fact that I had a start on it. And so it was one of the paths that I decided, I was like, oh, this might be an interesting way to go. I did a year at SIU, Southern Illinois University, got involved with the student-run TV station there, did some really stupid college movies, really just bonkers stuff. But it was a lot of fun. Took a little break from school, moved to Duluth, Minnesota, eventually got back into stuff, and started work at KDLH.
In Duluth.
In Minnesota. And then, 18 years later, I was still doing news, but I had moved on to Madison, Wisconsin, and then eventually Portland, Oregon.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that's where the stories really took a turn.
That is really where, I was at the same station for 12 years.
Uh-huh.
So, And as Aaron said, I mean, it's just you do show up. Mostly, it's people's bad, worst days, and they are not happy you're around. And so I've had a few interesting encounters while being a news photographer.
Care to share any of those?
I mean, you get the typical. I've had a lot of protest coverage. You get pushed around, stuff like that. There's a guy thought it would be. He saw us live outside a courthouse at 5. Decided to show up around 6, and thought he would try to do a suicide by cop on live, and we were able to stop him from doing that. But it was a little nerve-wracking because it happened right before our shot, and then 30 seconds after it kind of ended, we were live. So, and with no mention of what was going on the whole time. So,
and he had a knife?
He had a knife. He had pulled out a knife. He said, "You want to watch this?" And went walking towards a couple deputies who didn't see him because their backs were turned. They were having a conversation. And I was, at first didn't, it's just like, what? It was one of those big knives that's in your butcher block. So he started walking towards them, and I realized what he was about to possibly do. So I was able to get their attention, and they de-escalated the situation. But
were you the one that yelled something?
Yeah, I was the one. You got turn around, watch out, behind you, and they turned around, and guns were drawn, but they were able to de-escalate. So,
wow,
yeah. So
you also had a physical assault on yourself.
Yeah. While I was a live truck operator, a guy was drunk and decided to urinate on my live van, and then I had confronted him about it. So, "What are you doing?" And next thing I knew, I got punched. So, and then chased down the street. But luckily, some bystanders. Troy's like, I don't think Troy's ever heard
I'm
this.
just listening to this, realizing that my career's been very happy and full of good times. And
because
I never worked in news, so
we were in the break room yesterday, and he's telling me these stories, and I'm like, Pete, my goodness. So this guy did time.
Yeah,
for
he did
it,
4
and-
months. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to tell everybody news is all horrible. It's not. I used to love shooting high school football games and doing stuff like that. And there are times, in fact, the last year and a half of my career in news, I was on a team that did special reports. So it was a lot calmer.
Yeah, more of not that. It's not like it's a staged area, but it's less drama.
Less drama and less likelihood of running into people that did not like you.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that you're on our team now, and you don't have to worry about any of that. But I will. So we asked on our social media pages yesterday if anybody had questions for you guys, and so I have a whole list. We're not going to get to. I don't think we'll get to all of them, but one of them is, well, I'll just hold it because Troy, what's your story? How did you get here? When did you start filming, and why?
I made let's see. It was kind of my senior prank, but I ended up editing this South Park-esque stick death kind of animation video about my high school. And it kind of was like, I released it on all the school's computers when it was done, and it kind of just made fun of the school and sort of went like viral in the school. And then
How much trouble did you get in?
oh, slap on the wrist. I mean, once they realized that I didn't have enough time to make a apology video, they were just like, no, okay. I think I ended up having to draw a comic book to like apologize and like explain why things were the way they were. But that's neither here nor there. I loved doing it. I loved kind of the manipulation of the video and the audio and all that. And so I went to art school, and after that I went and did corporate communications and training at a giant satellite company, and then left and did House Hunters for a little bit and some freelance work, and gosh, just a lot of stuff. I worked for the Avs for a while. Actually, I was thinking that was 3 years ago today. I was still working for my favorite hockey team, and
Who probably will get bounced early in the playoffs by the Minnesota Wild.
I didn't say the 2022 Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche, but now I will. And I eventually I left that to pursue more freelance stuff. And actually, Aaron and I have a mutual friend, Andy McDonald, who I had worked for a lot. He's in Denver, and was just a great mentor for me. I'd known him for a long time, and he calls me up one day and he's like, "Hey, there's this company in Minnesota, and they're kind of looking for a guy just like you." And so I, that was summertime, and it took a little while, but then I ended up moving out here January 2nd of 2020. And
Best time to move to Minnesota.
Right.
it was I had no, the first morning I woke up, it was negative 10 degrees, and I was just like, okay.
And you like to wear flip flops every day,
I
so
do.
that doesn't work well.
I do. Well, in Denver, it's just like, we have like one cold snap a year where it's, in the single digits for a couple of days, and that's about it, and so it was different for sure. And the snow sticks around and it just, gets piled up here. And, but no, I never would have thought I'd be chasing you guys through a pheasant field. I'm not a hunter. I didn't have any previous experience with it. So, it's kind of crazy, but when that bird flushes and when you kind of get the perfect shot, that's why we do what we do. Right.
Yeah.
When you look in the viewfinder and you just know that, oh, this is gold, and you hit it, and you knew you hit focus, and you're exposed, right? And just everything's just kind of perfect about it. It's a really good feeling.
Yeah. Aaron, so 19 years. Do you remember your first flush hunt, which back then would have been Pheasants Forever television?
I don't think I can recall my very first one, just because even before we were filming Pheasants Forever television, we filmed pheasants hunts for Minnesota Bound.
Sure.
So I can't remember, but I was lucky enough to grow up pheasant hunting, bird hunting in Southwest North Dakota. So it wasn't as much of a trial by fire as maybe for Pete and Troy, who their first hunting experience was trying to document it.
Yeah. Pete, we hired you in the winter, and your first shoot was in Arizona.
Yeah, 3 weeks after I started. Yeah, and I went with Ron.
It's memorable because you bring it up a lot. Like,
yeah, I mean, for one, you come to a company and it's called Ron Shera Productions, and then 3 weeks later you're going out with Ron Shera. So doing something, as Aaron said, I have never hunted. And we're going for something called gambled quail. I'm like, I don't know what this thing even looks like. And I've got to try to document this thing. And so
reminds me of the scene from Wedding Crashers where he's like, I don't even know what the bleep a quail is. And they go out to anyway.
So it was just what I found out is that sucker's quite a rocket bird when it takes off. Trying to see it, and then even then I came from news, so Ron still to this day gives me gruff about this because we get out of the car first morning of the hunt, and I'm grabbing all my gear, and I throw the tripod over my shoulder, and he's like, "Where do you think you're going with that?" I'm like, "Well, we're going out." And I'm like, "So I'm bringing everything." He's like, "No, you don't need that. No, you're not gonna." And so I'm so glad I listened to him.
The tripod is how much? How much does the tripod weigh?
Well, especially the one for the flush, it's not a light tripod.
Yeah, it depends on the tripod. 5 to 15 pounds.
15 pounds, and the camera itself weighs about 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Then you throw in batteries into a backpack and extra gear. Yeah, you're hauling some weight.
So we wear vests when we're hunting, and we put shells in it, stuff for the dogs. You guys have, on average, I mean, I was going to ask you, Aaron, the biggest, there's a lot of changes in our equipment now from where you started almost 20 years ago. I mean, what did you used to take into the field with you?
Well, it's always been a camera and a backpack. It's just the cameras have gotten lighter. The batteries can be lighter sometimes and more reliable. And used to have a backpack full of tapes as well.
Yeah. I remember when I started, everything was on tapes.
Yeah, you'd have to have, extra tapes. Now it's just little media cards. So
it went tapes, then discs.
Now media cards.
Now media cards, micro SD cards, and you can record everything on that. Our friends at Waltons are celebrating this month because they just launched an updated website to make shopping for all of your wild game and food processing needs so much easier. And to celebrate, they're giving away a Waltons chambered vacuum sealer, an assortment of Waltons vacuum bags, an apron, and a collection of seasoning shakers, all valued at over $1,300. The best part? They have giveaways like this each and every month. This is just one of the many ways Jonathan Tremblay and the family at Waltons try to help you make the most of your meat processing and cooking needs. They also host podcasts, live streams, and online chats in their Meatgistics University. Waltons.com has over 5,000 items on their site, in stock and ready to ship the same day. From grinders, mixers, stuffers, slicers, smokers, vacuum sealers, seasonings, and so much more. Head to Waltons.com to sign up for their giveaway and shop from the comfort of your home or anywhere in the field. Waltons, they have everything but the meat. Aluma Trailers, they've got you covered. Their trailers are built by a hardworking team in Bancroft, Iowa. They have models for nearly any and every hauling need, from ATV and UTV trailers to utility, snowmobile, motorcycle, car trailers, and even fully enclosed trailers like mine. Trust me when I say Aluma Trailers tow gear like a dream, and they are 100% maintenance free. Plus, they come with an industry best 5-year warranty. Visit alumakln.com to find a trailer that fits your needs. For everything that gets you outdoors, Aluma Trailers will help you get there. Aaron, in 20 years, we're just rounding up to 20, and it's been a while. What's your most memorable flush hunt?
Oh, man. Chucker hunting in Idaho is up there. I don't know if I have a
Hell's
specific.
Canyon?
Yeah, Hell's Canyon chucker hunting. Just because it was the most extreme thing we had done to that point. So you take a boat, start at the water level, and then it's just up until you find the birds. And we only did it for one day, but it was one of the hardest hunts I've ever done. Just side hilling. Your feet get tired from side hilling, tripping over rocks, trying not to trip and fall down the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
And then just, wild birds, unpredictable birds. That was, but amazing scenery. So that was up there.
Mm-hmm. That's still one of my favorite episodes that you've ever produced,
Yeah,
that you've ever put together. I mean, just the beauty of it. And I think from Pheasants Forever, they get a lot of feedback from our shows because we're partners with them. That's still what they would say is the most feedback they've ever gotten on an episode. At least a couple years ago, when I asked Bob about it, he's like, "Yeah, that Hell's Canyon one, man, it just touched a nerve with a lot of people."
Well, it was the same time we kind of shifted the focus of the show a little bit. It used to be called Pheasants Forever Television. We decided to change the name to The Flush, and then change it to more adventure. And so to go from kind of a variety show and talking about habitat tips and gun cleaning tips and walking through scenic fields in South Dakota with dozens of birds flying up, to go from that to extreme hunting, which very few people chucker hunt. Wild chuckers. A lot of people hunt chuckers in game farms, but to go chase wild chuckers, it was a big shift in the show.
Yeah,
so
for sure. And I feel like that, that change has really put a lot of stress on the production team, honestly.
Yeah.
Because how many challenging moments are there in a field where you're in South Dakota and it's, flat and you've got great vantage points and you got people posting and there's going to be birds coming out the end so you can wait for them. And it's still wild birds, or whatever it might have been back then, but dozens and dozens of them. Where here you might only have like 1 or 2 flushes a day. Like Troy, think about, we're chasing ptarmigan, and like I know Dylan claimed it was 100%, but we knew quickly that our chances were going to be slim. And you, like, what kind of pressure do you put on yourself carrying that camera? I'll start with you, Troy.
Well, I think that at the beginning of the shoot, you're just kind of playing very conservatively as far as shooting goes. You just want to make sure that you're always in the right spot. And that's what Aaron taught me, actually. It was just, hey, at the beginning, like, just kind of hang around the hunters. You don't need those cutaways yet. You don't need some of those extra shots to fill out the show. But, you might get one rooster the entire trip. And that's what happened in, Bill and I were actually in Hendricks, Minnesota, and we arrived, and did, excuse me, some evening hunting, and we got one rooster. I think we saw one more, and then the next 2.5 days it was nothing but hens, and so like fortunately we got that one shot on camera. But if you don't get that, then you don't get that shot. It's not there. You can't just say like, oh no, we got one, and then you kind of no, you want to see that shot. That's what you're there for. So that was the biggest pressure thing. We have like little tricks, and we cache record so that we can kind of go back a few seconds and not necessarily miss everything. But that right there is, you have this moment that might happen once over 3 days.
Aaron, explain cache, what that is on the camera and what that saves us.
It's hard to explain a little bit, but it is, it's like, I don't know how you say it. The camera is always kind of recording and recycling what you're doing. So you still have to have the camera pointed in the general direction. But say a pheasant flushes in front of you, you can hit the record button and it will jump back in time 5 to 7 seconds. So you get the bird coming out of the grass. So it saves you from having to just record constantly all day. When we were shooting on tape, we would just roll, so you didn't miss that moment.
Yeah.
Now the computer and the camera can continuously roll without chewing up media, and then hit the button, it goes back in time. But that still puts pressure on you because you got to be, kind of level on your horizon line. You got to be pointed in the right direction. You got to have a close focus, close on iris or exposure. So it just saves you media, but it's still, the pressure is there.
Yeah. Ron told me something one of the first days I ever worked here, and when we went out on a shoot, or I don't remember where it was, but it stuck with me and still does to this day. If the camera doesn't see it, it never happened.
Yep.
And so that's the pressure that we're always under when we go out into the field, and that you guys are under. And as a producer and trying, my job is always to try to help you guys when I'm out there. And the microphones tell like you could be 100, 200 yards away, and you're monitoring our audio while you're recording. But it also allows us to say like, hey, Aaron, a dog went on point in front of me, or Pete, this dog's looking birdie. And we tell the people that we're filming with the same things. If you see something, say something, because we're trying to make sure that we can capture it, because I tell everybody before it starts, if the camera doesn't see it, doesn't happen. So it doesn't matter if you made the best shot ever, or you go running through, or something awesome happens. If you turn around and the camera's not around, it's not going to be in the TV show, because TV is different than print. I can write a story and explain it in words, but on the camera side of it, we have to see it. And that's always the biggest challenge. I think people commonly ask, and it was asked in this, in these questions too, how much video do you guys come back with for a standard shoot?
It really, I think part of it depends on how many birds came up and flushed. Because obviously if you guys hit your limit, well, that's it for the day. But, I've only run into that once, so it's not very often.
I've only run into that once, and I've been doing it for almost 20 years.
Really?
Yeah, we almost never get limits.
Yeah.
I remember.
Even back in the glory days, Aaron?
Yeah, it's just hard. It's hard to get limits. It just doesn't often, especially with a camera, because you're hunting a little bit different. You're not just going everywhere. We're keeping people closer together. So it may have happened more than one. Well, South Dakota ranches, we've gotten our limit, but I mean like public land, wild bird, that kind of situation. I remember in Nebraska one time we got a limit, and it was, we had Bill, who was the host of that show, just like sitting in the park on a swing.
I remember that.
Reading a newspaper. Because, like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to do with myself. We're done for the day. So that was kind of fun.
Troy, you and I, our first hunt this year, spoiler alert, was really, really good. And we could have shot multiple limits on that. But I specifically, in the field, like, if you're over, at that day in Montana, there was 4 of us. And I remember, dogs are over here, dog was on point, and Simon and Ben or whatever it might have been, they were taking shots. I had birds getting up under my feet that nobody will ever see. I never pulled the trigger because I look over and the camera's pointed that way. I'm like, I constantly do that when I'm out there in the field too, because I'm there for the show. I mean, we're there to document the hunt, but yeah, I mean, sometimes you could just go boom, 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 and I'm done. Now what are we going to do? So you can't put yourself in a tough spot.
I remember that the beginning of the season, that was the first shoot of the season too. So you go through these long lulls where you don't shoot this particular show, and you kind of have to get back into it a little bit that first walk. And I remember we were just a little bit discoordinated because there was another time where I was right over your shoulder and you didn't shoot at a bird that got up because you thought I was pointed somewhere else and everything. And I was just like, dude, what do you like? I was in the perfect position. And that's like the most frustrating thing is when, you have the perfect shot and then, the hunter either misses or doesn't take a shot or something else happens. I have that was my first shoot with Ron was in South Dakota, and it was over Thanksgiving weekend, I remember. And I had this beautiful shot lined up with the scene was perfect. He was just kind of on this hill and this bird comes right across my frame and I'm in slow motion and it's beautiful. And then he misses and I'm like, that's gonna end an act. And then we're not going to know if he hit that bird or not. But
yeah. Well, I think though, honestly, from the entertainment side of it, I mean, several people again asked about the shooting, who's the worst shot, things like that. But like that's real. So I'm always okay if, that's fine. Film me missing, film us missing. You got the shot. You did your job.
Well, I know, but it's just, it's so much better when, the shot, it comes to completion, right? There's like this finish to it. You see the bird get blown out of the sky and that's that's
wow, Troy.
I'm sorry. That's sure. Yeah. But that's the thing is that's where I if I can get that tight close up of the, the BBs going through the bird, like that's kind of
okay. So
I don't mind misses sometimes because then I get more video of the bird flying. I like when it's up and down in
it happens so fast.
1.5 seconds, then you're not getting much video. So I don't mind a miss here and there, so you can actually see a bird flying for a while.
Did we ask Pete your most memorable moment? Did I ask all three of you that yet?
No. Most memorable. I mean, is falling down just one of those? I mean, it's just my last shoot with Scott. Yeah,
there you go.
There it is. Yeah, no, it was a doozy. I was running to catch up to them, and corn got a hold of my foot, and I went down, just bam, and camera kind of explodes. I mean, I hit the ground, and I'm like, uh-oh, what are all these pieces? And it turned out it was just the microphone and the viewfinder popping off. But yeah, that was
a roll of electrical tape goes in every bag
Gaffer,
out in the field because we have patched things back together. Oh my goodness. I feel like that's something we're always maybe cursed with, Aaron. Is that the right word?
I don't know. We're hard on stuff because it's conditions in the field are tough. I mean, rain, snow, wind, and then just trying to walk. I mean, I'm sure every hunter has hit the ground a few times while out hunting, and sometimes we're one eye closed looking in a viewfinder while moving and you just hit the deck.
This is not any of you, but I'm going to guess 15 years ago, one of our guys in Iowa disappeared. He literally was walking behind a hunter filming. He dropped into a hole. It stepped right into it, and he was gone. It was over his head. And so then they had to help him back out. But could you imagine? I mean, that's got to be going through your mind a little bit, too. Your focus is on us and everything happening, and you're putting yourself at a lot of risk out there.
Yeah.
No, you are. I mean, I've... at least every season I find some sort of hole and I'm about knee deep into it all of a sudden. It just, I'm like, where did that come from?
Yes.
It's just like it just hops out of nowhere.
the best part is when you're recording and you get to see that moment later,
Yes.
you know,
or hear it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. Come on. I think I have one from Montana where I was chasing you guys at like sunset at the very end. We were just looking for one more, I forget what bird actually. And Daisy went on point, or Daisy got real birdie, and you guys started running. I'm like, okay. And then I'm just watching the clip and I'm running after you because I'm just going to record and see what we get. And then
Tuck
You
and
just
roll.
you just see the cameras start to fall and roll around, and then you just hear me. Like, I'm good. I got up real fast and chased after you. Like,
All right.
it could have been worse.
First listener question. Bernie asks, have you ever been in a position where you said to yourself, dang, I could have been shot?
Yes, I've been. I don't know that I've been hit by BBs, but I've heard them fall around me. Like posting by vehicle, I've heard them hit the vehicle.
Yep.
I've heard them come through the grass around me. So I'm sure I've been, they were falling, so they weren't high velocity, but yes. And
They
also
weren't going to do any damage.
they weren't going to do any
skin.
damage, but they've fallen around me. There are times with safe hunters where I've seen the gun come across and they've held their shot where it's passed by me.
Yeah.
And I've also been with guys who you can tell they're not safe carrying their gun, where you're behind them and it's straight over their shoulder back at you, or down by their side swinging around. And
Yes.
we talk to those guys, and I also avoid them. I just stay away from them. But I know we've had to ask people to not join the hunt for the second half of the day because they're just not safe. So yes, many times.
Mm-hmm.
I know recently, especially this past season, it was definitely like brought up before. Yeah,
Yep.
just asking hunters, hey, just make sure you're not carrying it that way. Carry it, safely. Make sure your lock is on, stuff like that, or your safety. So I know lately it's been more of a So I haven't really felt. I mean, I've done 5 seasons, and I haven't really felt like I was in a position where I might get shot. But
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Troy, have you?
No, if I have, then I didn't know about it. So ignorance is bliss.
Well, I've been in a couple of those situations like you talked about, Aaron, and I've had to stop. Time out, guys. This is where, I remember one hunt that I stopped twice, and I said, I can't put anybody else in harm's way, and if we can't do this safely, we're going to stop right now. We're going to end this right now. A gun did go off one time. Been on 2 different shoots where a gun accidentally, while somebody's not intending to shoot it, gun went off.
Jeez.
And that is like, in my mind, cannot ever happen. Not for us, not for if they're out on a Saturday morning walk with their, I'm constantly amazed at some of the gun handling that I see, because growing up, I was always taught, that gun is never to be pointed anywhere near somebody, and I see it all the time. And I do know, we're under heavy scrutiny about, a direction of a gun point or a shot that's fired, and sometimes we'll get feedback from from viewers, and they'll say, it wasn't a safe shot, and a lot of times the angle of the camera makes it look different than it actually was. But, we get asked a lot to do, youth hunts, these bigger events where there's a lot of people. And to be completely honest, a lot of times we don't do those because, we don't, if there's a lot of people, a lot of guns going off, and it's a lot of people put in a position that they don't necessarily want to be in, you guys are doing your job at the end of the day. It's a fun place to be. Troy, you're not a hunter. You're out there busting your butt, doing your job. I don't ever want you to feel unsafe.
I always joke with the hunters when they're asking me about that. It's like, well, I go hunting. I'm hunting for you guys. I have a different weapon.
Yes.
It's a camera, but I still same kind of thing where I'm trying to get that perfect shot.
yeah, I'm hunting for shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
But no,
just,
you're right. It is. It's we don't. It's not a knock against anything. I never grew up in that kind of world. I never really had that interest. But to what you were saying, it's you go, the more people you go with, the higher chance that there's going to be somebody that's not safe, and the higher probability, that an incident could occur. But I mean, like I was saying, I've never experienced that personally. I've only, again, been doing it for 2 seasons, and everybody that I've either produced the show or shot with has always kind of put that safety above everything else.
Good. Yeah. I mean, there's been times where I know personally I've been called out too for like trying to run up to a spot. So I have my gun up in the air, and then whatever I remember in Arizona, I think it was a gamble quail were just running. And so Patrick, the guy we're with, he's like, dude, these quail are going to be 300 yards in front of that dog in like 1 minute. Like, you got to get up there. So he's running, and, you know, like, all of a sudden you're in the moment with them, you know, you're doing it too. And, you know, in my mind the whole time I'm like, guns up here, you know, like protecting that at all costs. But I've still gotten feedback from viewers about that. I just think that, you know, I'm always watching for it. And that goes for when I'm not working too. It was drilled into my mind, into my brain growing up. I've done it with my kids. The same thing when they started with fake guns, and then now BB guns, and then shotguns that they're shooting. It is number one everywhere. And I'm amazed that gun safety is taken so lightly, and accidents are so, it's so close. You know, we've been in those situations before. We're so close. So but Bernie, that is a pretty good question, and it's just a good reminder for everybody, not just for us. Do you generally use just one cameraman per episode?
Yeah, that was one of the surprises I'll say when I got here, was that this show is shot with one photographer for the most part. And
yeah, I would say 95% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty rare that I've not been on a flush yet with another photographer. So, which means that we're operating that camera to do the flush, but then we're also at times pulling out a drone and operating that as well. So
the Onyx Hunt app is one of the most valuable hunting tools that I take into the field every day. I talk about the Onyx Hunt app every week. That's simply because I use it on every hunt. Seriously, every hunt. Their app tells me everything that I need to know about the land that I want to hunt and the lands that we can all legally hunt on. If you've used it yourself, then you know that the Onyx app shows your location on planet Earth and clearly lays out the land boundaries. It also tells you information about the type of property you're on, like state-owned land, federal lands, and walk-in access properties. It's ideal for scouting before the hunt and during a hunt to help put together patterns. The app also has helpful features that show you the kind of crops that are in the fields, which obviously is a big deal for us upland bird hunters. These are just a few of the many tools Onyx Maps give you, and these maps can even be used in areas without cell coverage. From the palm of your hand, Onyx Maps always help you to know where you stand. Nutrisource Pet Foods just launched a new product that can give our active hunting dogs a big boost when they need it most. It's called Kombucha. Nutrisource Kombucha, inspired, of course, by kombucha, is a savory, meaty bone broth topper that's packed with activated postbiotics from a fermentation product that thrives in the gut to promote a healthy gut ecosystem for digestion support. That's a mouthful. But what it means for us bird dog owners is that we now have a healthy topper to pour over our dog's food if they're ever stressed or won't eat while on a long hunting trip. Kombucha is offered in 3 flavors: turkey, beef, and chicken, and comes in a 12-ounce pouch. Nutrisource high-performance dog foods provide exceptional healthy nutrition for active dogs of every breed, just like my dog Daisy. Now they have a topper that gives our 4-legged hunters another edge when they need it the most. Check out their full lineup of dog foods at NutrisourcePetFoods.com. Here's the next question. Do you have a plan in your head or pre-filming meeting of how you hope things will go to make a story for that particular episode you're filming? Yeah, I think, you know, in this show in particular, not all of our TV shows, but in this show, there's always a host with, you know, and the host acts as the producer. And so I feel like when we go on the field, you know, we're driving to a location most of the time or flying. We've got time to kind of like, here's how I envision things going. Here's our plan for the days that we're going to be there. And beyond that, though, these are wild birds and weather is unpredictable. And what you guys have grown up, or not grown up doing, but have almost been trained through news and, you know, your backgrounds is you document what's happening, you know, so we can pre-plan all we want. We do things like we're going to mic up this guy. He's going to be kind of the ringleader of the group, and, you know, his dogs are who we're going to talk about and things like that. And we move microphones around and things like that. But beyond that, you kind of have to let it happen as it's happening. What's going through your mind when you're in the field when we start the hunt?
Well, I mean, for me, it's so funny because in my normal life, I like structure, but then you go on these shoots and that goes out the window. So because you have to be able to pivot and just do whatever's going to happen. So, I mean, yeah, when I first start, kind of Troy brought it up. I mean, you're looking, let's get these shots. I'm not going to worry about what we call cutaways, which is the shots of like other people walking or tight or, I mean, I'm going to grab, foreground stuff, background stuff. I'm not too worried about that. I'm just kind of, okay, what's going to be happening? Who do I have mic'd up? Who can I follow? Who do I need to be in between the two? Cause we usually have two microphones out at one time so that I can easily pivot to whoever is saying, oh, this is, Daisy's on point. Okay, well, let me get over there. It's just kind of listening to that stuff and then moving to that. At least that's initially how I go about. And then, like even my last hunt, I did not feel comfortable till the last hunt of the day about having enough footage for the show. Yeah. And now I'm editing it, and it's kind of funny because I'm like, oh, I don't know what I was so worried about, but but yeah, I had enough. But it just I was like, no, I'm going to film this last hunt. Let's go do it. I feel like I need more footage. So,
Aaron?
Well, Pete, that never really goes away, and that's just part of being a professional is like not settling, not being, oh, we're good. Yeah, that's enough. We're good. I never. Bill and I have been, filming the show together for almost 20 years, and we joke every time that he gives me a hard time about, no, I don't know. I don't think I did very good. And he gets back and logs it. He's like, yeah, it's great. And vice versa. He's like, I don't know. Do we have enough? Do we have a story here? And we get back and it always turns out well, but you're never really satisfied.
Yeah.
But yeah. You just go in, you try to get, call it the meat and potatoes, right? You got to get the birds flying first. That's most important. And once you start collecting that, then you can start collecting all the gravy on top, the scenics, the other stuff that blends in while the really, really tight shots of dogs running and slow motion video and all that stuff.
Yeah, the capabilities we have now, it's just, it's upped it so much to really visually paint those pictures. Have you ever had a hunt that you went on that you came back and you're like, we don't have a show?
Only one. We, I don't want to give too many details because I don't want someone to feel bad, but we went out to do a specific feature on this dog, and we were told some great things about this dog, and we got out there, and this dog it just didn't live up to so the story was supposed to be about this dog who had overcome some adversities.
Okay.
And we went and filmed it, and there weren't really any birds, but also this dog, I just kind of felt bad for it. Like, I don't think it was enjoying itself.
Oh.
And it was still out there, great for the dog. I'm happy for the dog, but it wasn't really hunting. It was just kind of out there. So that was one that we did not do anything with. It didn't find its way onto the air.
Well, on that same dog topic, do you have a dog in all those years that stand out to you as like, oh my gosh, when I think back, like, is there a particular bird dog that stands out to you for any reason?
Well, it's hard for me to remember, but I know George Lyle's dogs.
Yeah.
Kick butt, and Dan Bailey in Montana. He had some
I
kick
remember
butt
those
dogs. And when you're out with these people, right, oftentimes with new people, you hunt for a day, you kind of start to learn which dogs you can trust, because some, like, especially with pointing dogs or even flushing dogs, you can read them, you start to read them, and you start to understand, can I trust that dog or can I not?
Because some dogs, great way to put it.
It is.
Some dogs will be a point, nothing.
Pointing butterflies, mice, everything.
Garbage bags.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, George Lyle's dogs you can trust, and Dan Bailey's dogs you can always trust. And I've hunted with a lot of good dogs and a few really bad dogs, but those stand out for sure. It's like, I'm just sticking with those dogs because I can trust them.
Yeah. Troy, any dogs that stand out to you in your short career out there?
Shooter. Simon Tika has a golden.
Yeah,
golden
beautiful dog.
And she's just the best thing ever. She's my buddy. She was the one of the only dogs that was, trained enough to kind of be inside our quarters when we were in Montana. And she was just a love bug, but also just such a beautiful and a well-trained dog. And I remember in Montana, she was in the middle of a retrieve, and then another bird went down, and she tried to go and retrieve the second bird at the same time. And I'm just like, see,
she's a vacuum out there.
We're on the same wavelength. We're both trying to, just really, really up the game here and do our best. And yeah. But I was gonna say with what you were talking about earlier, it's important to know what the story is. It's like, okay, yes, there's a hunt, and we're gonna go get some birds, but there's always a character or two, or a dog, or a location, or something like that we know going into it. Like, okay, the show's kind of going to be around this person or this element of it, and then other than that, you just gotta go with the flow.
Mm-hmm. On that, an episode going completely wrong. Kyle, who's not in here today, we could do it. I'd love to have had him in this conversation too. But we showed up to do a horseback hunt, and we made it 20 yards, and he was on a horseback, and the camera broke from the horse, trotting a little bit, and it just bounced, and then we had to rebuild it, and we ended up somehow getting it to work, and we continued on the hunt, and it was brutally tough. The birds were just doing everything they could to stay hundreds of yards away, and he had a hard time getting in position. Horses move a whole lot faster than Kyle walks, and it was just this struggle. And we finally had success one evening, and we come back, and I go to put the episode together, and we cannot find the footage. Somehow, in the process of transferring everything over, which we back up 3 times now, and we still did then. I don't know if you remember this one, Aaron, but the media was just gone. So in my years of producing the show, it's the only time I've ever been in a field before where we didn't air a story that we went out to
in
get.
fact, and because of that, that's how I went out on my first Flush episode with Scott and Rob. And then we got a blizzard on our way to Kansas.
Do you guys
got stuck.
Do you have a secret stash of bloopers anywhere that I don't know about?
I don't, but I am
not
definitely.
really.
So this last hunt, all I kept hearing was Millie's here, Millie here. So I am going to be putting together a little montage of that, just because that's all I heard on the last hunt. Millie's still,
She's a pup.
She's
Scott
a pup.
Franzen's pup. Yeah.
So,
I love
but
it. I can't
I'm going to
wait
be
to see
putting
it.
together that. Yeah.
Nice. Let's see here. Gosh, we've been flying already. Are we close to an hour already, Brandon? Okay. Well, let's see. Are you hiring? That's one of the questions.
You might want to go on a shoot before you
honestly,
volunteer to be hired.
Hold on. That's the thing is you show up on these shoots, and we're usually with people who we most of the time haven't gone hunting with before. And at the beginning of the shoot, that's you got the coolest job in the world. And oh my gosh, I just love to do that. How long have you been doing this? And they're asking a million questions. And then by day 3 at the end of it, they're like, I would never want to do what you do. And it's crazy how it's just but they see it just, and you're running and hustling, and it's just never a comfortable moment. Usually you're just trying to, a lot of times you're cold, and the one part of my body that I can't cover is my left hand, that's the, lens hand and button presser. And so it's funny how that shift happens. I've seen it, or it's happened a million times to me.
Yeah. How often do you stop or slow the hunt to get the right shot in the right moment? Or do you keep hunting full send and let the camera crew figure out how to keep up on their own?
No, it kind of goes to what we said. If the camera doesn't see it, it doesn't happen. So the hunt does get slowed down
immensely
if we are not able to keep up. And generally, because of, as we've said, the camera gear, the batteries, the backpack, we can't move as fast as everybody else. And so, generally the hunts are slowed up.
And I feel like the ones that I'm on when I'm working with the cameraman in the field, that we're constantly staying in contact, or I'll look back and I'll be like, guys, hold up. We need to let Troy catch up or whatever, because he's filming
it's
something
communication
else.
even out in the field is, it's, hey, I'm going to go, I need to get around to the side here, guys, hold up while I do that. And then when you see me, yes, you can start moving again, stuff like that.
But we're not setting things up necessarily.
No.
Typically, as we're shooting, sometimes you just got to stop, plant your feet, and get a shot. and then you hustle up to the group, stop, plant your feet, get a couple shots. But
That's
sometimes
like
you just
90% of the show
Yeah.
is like me just stopping, getting good shots, then run up,
Catch
stop.
Yeah,
but
because you
sometimes-
see it happening, and
Yeah.
you're like, you got to stop and film it. You can't go back. But guys, I need you to walk up the mountain again.
Right. So the only times we slow it down or stop is, Travis or one of the producers saying, all right, hold up, guys, let the cameraman catch up. And that's it. And then once we're caught up, we're like, all right, good to go.
Yeah, but then also in my mind, I'm like, okay, they just ran,
Yeah, right.
up a steep cliff or whatever. Like, I need to also, not only they're caught up now, but give them a chance to catch their breath a little bit too. So that slows everything down at the beginning of the hunt. Like, we just need to set the stage. I mean, there's people want to hunt at 9. They're like, let's meet there at 8:50 or something. I'm like, no, let's meet there at 7:50. Like, give us an hour to get everything going, get you guys comfortable, get the dogs, just try to control as much as we can't control, if that makes sense. Let's see, where is your favorite? Well, I think we kind of touched on that. What is your favorite type of bird to film?
Well, I can say after it's the pheasants, because after my first one in quail, I could barely see the suckers. And then my second hunt was a pheasant. I was like, oh, these look like giants. So it was so much easier for me to get footage of them. I was just like, but they do. It's just interesting too, just because of how tight the pheasants will hold. And there have been every hunt just about. It's like you guys will have walked past. I'm coming from behind, and I still flush one or two and hunt, and it also scares me because all of a sudden you just it's right there in your ear, and you're just like, whoa, So, but I'd say pheasants at the moment just because they're so much bigger.
Yeah, I think pheasants too, just because they're big and they're loud and they're colorful and they make for good shots. Sharpies are pretty fun just because the locations they're in is a little more interesting topography. And I can tell you my least favorite is probably grouse and woodcock, because just bushwhacking through northern Minnesota is, your headphones are getting ripped off. Yep. The mic receivers are getting ripped off. You're getting poked in the eye by a stick. I had a stick go up my nose one time. So
I remember every time I would do those grouse and woodcock, and I look back, I'm like, did you get it? And everyone's like, I don't know. I mean, I was pointed in the right direction. But most grouse hunters, they count the flushes they hear.
Yeah,
they don't even see. You expect a cameraman to find that bird in that quarter of a second that they have to see it. I mean, you have done a lot. Bill loves grouse hunting, and you have tagged along with him on a lot and made some incredible grouse and woodcock episodes happen where you can actually see the birds. And I'm always impressed.
It's a lot of work for sure.
Yeah. Troy, you got a favorite?
What's the one that Bill went to Florida to shoot this season?
Snipe.
Snipe is my favorite one to hunt. No, I've never ever filmed them, but it's a goal of mine to somehow get some sweet snipe footage.
Some snipe hunting. Yeah. Oh, let's see here. Maybe we wrap it up with the funniest mistake that you've made while filming. Drones get crashed, interviewed the wrong person, asked a group of bird hunters if they're dog or cat people. These are just some of the ideas that he had in that. Does anybody have any funny mistakes? I know, again, to pick on Kyle, but he was flying alongside me one time. We're just doing a walk just to get a cutaway of the landscape type thing. And this drone ended up right up in this tree that I was on top of the side hill, and he was flying right alongside me, but he couldn't see the tree based on the direction. So he's climbed more than one tree to retrieve a drone.
He has. It wasn't a flush episode, but it was in Colorado. We had to climb a tree to retrieve a drone that he crashed into it. And it was up there about 15 feet. So it was high. Yeah. On this show, I've been lucky aside from, I guess, falling and, like I said, having the camera kind of explode all these pieces out. Drone's been okay. Because the nice thing with the flush is generally it's open, even
fairly flat.
And even if you're in a mountain, you can kind of get around stuff. Other shows, yes, I've crashed the drone, but it has been a number of years, so knock on wood here.
Yeah. Falling down, drone crashes. I think one of the biggest mistakes we had was one time in Calgary, our rental car was like a Dodge Charger. and we got stuck a few times. So renting a sedan on a flush episode is a mistake for sure.
The best off-road vehicle is a rental vehicle.
Oh, man.
Try.
I'm trying to think.
You just nail everything
I'm-
all the time, don't you?
I'm pretty good at what I do.
Yeah.
No, I've also crashed a drone, but not on the show. I mean, technically, I didn't crash it. We don't know what happened to it. It just disappeared. But we think it's in the bottom of the river up north. And no, that's kind of the extent of it. I mean, yeah.
I mean, aside from not hitting record fast enough, that might be
Yeah.
about the only.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know.
you do the double tap sometimes. and-
Oh
and
yeah,
that's
there
just,
is that.
You know,
It's just-
occasionally you don't realize that you were already recording something, and then you tap the record button again. I did blow a shot like that one time where I was real close, like less than 2 feet away from a hunter, and it was right over his shoulder, and this bird just popped up right above us, and I in my viewfinder had the most amazing shot because you just see the line of sight from his gun, and then he just nails it, and you see him take aim in the shot, but then there's nothing
It's
after
out.
that because I double tapped and was not recording, so that's a mistake.
It
but-
happens. It happens. That's why we spend a lot of time out in the field. Somebody asks, how much time does it take? It takes
a long
a
time.
lot. We are out there. Everyone that we film with, for the most part, when we leave, they're like, I didn't realize how much effort goes into it. 95% of the time. Sometimes, like you said, Aaron, you get to sit on a swing and figure out what to do next. But
Once every 20 years.
yeah, it's once every 20 years. That's right. We're always out there trying to make it the best that we possibly can. And for you guys, I always say thank you because you're willing to go on a boat, go on an airplane, climb a mountain, and follow us into some pretty wild places. I've got 2 more questions. We produce other TV shows, and Aaron, I know you did Monster Quest, so you probably have the wildest experiences of video production at our company. Outside of the flush, what is your most memorable filming experience since you've been at this company? Or scariest, or worst, or best, or however you want to describe it, but something, somewhere, in a place that you got to go?
I mean, it's so hard because, I mean, one of our other shows that does traveling, we travel just about all over the country for that one. And so, I mean, for me, part of it was going back to Oregon. I didn't realize that there were dunes in Oregon, and I had lived there for 12 years. So to find out that existed down south and just off the coast, like the beach is right there. There's these dunes. There's that. That was pretty cool, and it was just fun to do. Yeah.
Aaron?
2 that are long stories, but I'll try to make them quick. One, when we were filming Monster Quest, me and a producer, Jared, were in Indonesia, camped in the jungle on the top of a dormant volcano. Well, not dormant, but extinct volcano. I don't know. A non-active volcano anymore, but we were camped by a lake, which was the old crater of a volcano. And there was a 8.2, 8.4 earthquake on the last day of filming.
While you were there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We were supposed to leave the next morning and it shook like you wouldn't believe. So that could be a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah.
And then I was lucky enough to go to Africa with a combat wounded Marine with his family, and to see him go and shoot the animal that he was excited to shoot and see the family joyous together after a lot of hardship was very memorable.
Yeah, I think, the stories that we've told in over 25 years here outside of the flush. I mean, we're talking bird hunting now because that's this podcast, but you've been on, we do have the Minnesota Bound podcast as well, and we go in depth on those kind of stories too. But our company is always, since I've been here and since Ron started it, has always been about stories. And, we're fortunate that we get to go out and see these amazing places, around the world. You've been all over the world, Aaron. But, for North America, it's mostly for our bird hunting stuff, but just the people always stand out to me. the places, and then, the birds are always the reason we go, but there's always so much more. And anybody that goes on a hunt can relate to that, or I would imagine they can relate to that. Troy, anything that you just are like, gosh, that one was my favorite place?
What's nuts is I, didn't do a lot of traveling for work before I came here a couple of years ago, and now we do it all the time. And that's my favorite part, is just getting to go see all these places. And it's not like you're going to, big travel destinations. We might fly into those cities, but we're going out into the sticks. We're going to, just, you fly into a spot and then you drive 3.5 hours, wherever. And I don't know, the one that comes up right away that I think about was actually a shoot that Pete and I did when we went to Washington. Yeah.
Oh, the overlanding?
We flew into Spokane, and we did a 3-day overlanding trip on side-by-sides and ATVs and just, in the Cascades. And it was just gorgeous. And, it's crazy because we were, camping, and we were also shooting, and then we had to shoot, some camp setup and cooking and everything, but we were with a great group of people. And then just, again, every which way you looked, it was absolutely beautiful. And I'm like, how am I here right now doing this? And then,
Well, I'll end it on this. With technology being so easily accessible to everybody, our cameras, people can go grab a DSLR and easily make their own YouTube channel or whatever it might be. What advice do you have for somebody that would, maybe want to take it a step further to try to get into this career that you guys are in, that we're in? But even if it's not to get into this career, to capture those moments. Troy, I know you do a lot of photography as well as videography, but like with the cameras and to videotape, like what advice would you have for somebody that just wants to be able to really capture those moments and keep them?
There's a quote from a Macklemore song, actually, and it's the greats aren't great because they could paint. The greats are great because they paint a lot. And it's, just the whole thing is, it's experience. You have to go and make mistakes, and you have to go fail, and you have to do, like, same thing with anything. But if you're trying to, I don't know, I always like, again, this is our full-time gig, and it's also a big passion of mine. But, just in my free time, I go and I look up kind of like weird techniques, or something that's a little bit, not mainstream as far as like just shooting and editing. Like I'll make cinemagraphs, which are kind of like a bridge between a photograph and video, and just, light painting with long exposures and that kind of stuff. So that's the other thing, is just trying to find something that you're super interested in, and then just go and do it a whole lot.
Yeah, good.
I would say don't get too caught up with the technology, and you don't have to buy a really expensive camera and really expensive lenses and a bunch of gear. You just got to put yourself in the right spot. So get out there, get up close, zoom with your feet, not with your lens, and just get out there.
Yeah. Pete?
Yeah, it's I was not expecting a question like that, but I have to agree with everything they've been saying. In fact, one of the first things I did when I became a photographer, my chief photographer sat me down, and I just edited other people's footage.
Oh.
And that way it was a way to see, before I went out and shot, what do you need for a story? Wide, medium, tight is generally the rule. And yes, you can make cuts wide, but there needs to be a reason for it. But yeah, it's sitting there looking at stuff, and just, as Troy said, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. Same thing. And audio though makes a huge difference on stories. I just edited together a story for Minnesota Bound. So different show, but the sounds, it was a maple syrup story, and just the audio we captured while he was collecting the syrup from the bags and pouring.
It brings you there when you're watching.
It does. And so having clean, clear audio, and again, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars. You can probably just pick up a microphone for for a little cheaper. But getting that microphone placed in places where you want that crisp, clean audio just is such a help in helping to tell a story.
It's half the experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's 3 levels, right? It's, when we're putting it together, what you see, the visuals, and then the narration, and then also what's happening out there in the field that you're trying to capture, the sounds, the natural sounds.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, you guys do it very well, and you put up with me and Scott and Bill and Ron. One of the questions that I didn't ask you that I'll just answer right on, because I already know the answer, is who's the most difficult one that you don't want to go on a shoot with? And I know it's me because I'm always wanting to climb a mountain.
On a horse.
Yes. We need to go on a boat. First, we got to get a plane to get to that boat. And then we got to take the boat out to an island. And then the island is miserable. And nobody wants to be on the island. There's a reason nobody lives on the island, but we're going to go traverse it. And so I know that I apologize when I look at the calendar and I say, like Troy, he's like, I'm going with you, huh? But you raised your hand for Colorado.
I absolutely did. I was stoked to do that, and I will do it again. I thought yesterday when you asked me about the podcast, I'm like, okay, fine, yeah, I'll climb another mountain with you. Let's do it, because as much as those weeks kind of, and when you have a flush shoot coming up, as much as you kind of like, okay, I gotta get ready for this because it's gonna be, and then when it's done, you're just like,
Aaron's laughing over here.
When it's done, you're done, and you don't want to shoot it for another while and everything like that. But then, this right here, talking about, some of those trips and some of those moments and those experiences are that's, I have nothing but fond memories. So
cool.
That's the difference.
Well, thank you guys all for all the efforts you put in, and Brandon, as always, for listening and recording our conversation and bringing this to you all each week. It's a pleasure to work with you guys, honestly. I mean that, and I'm hopeful that we can keep doing this for many more years. So
again, Florida, snipe. Let's do it.
Well, it's
as long as it takes place in January.
We need the next thing that we have.
I'll go to Arizona then. That's fine. Let's go.
Yep. All right. We're going to wrap this one up, Brandon. I'm Travis Frank, reminding you to take the time to introduce someone new to the field.